are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 198 of the College Loop Podcast. I am Larck here in beautiful Gulf Shores, Alabama, on a little bit of a vacation celebrating my little sister graduating from South Alabama. And I'm here to talk to y'all about Auburn athletics. And I'll just wait for everybody to get in here as we are going to talk about an updated depth chart that I made. I even have a list on my phone of my backups going sometimes up to the third string on depending on what position it is. But before I get into, thank you all for joining in. I'm going to go ahead and get right started with my offensive depth chart. So I went through mine, and since my last depth chart had Jay Fair in it and had a couple of other guys that we have since transferred out, I wanted to update it with the new guys that came in, as well as updating where some of the other guys have came in and kind of changed where they are. Starting off with the offensive side of the ball, this is what my depth chart looks like. I'm sorry if it's a little hard to see. I was trying to use Photoshop, and I think I could have spaced out a little bit better. But the wide receivers kind of made it a little hard on the outside. All right, so starting with the offensive line, we got left tackle, got Percy Lewis, the transfer out of Mississippi State. Definite guy who's going to be starting on his offensive line. I would love it if he lost a little bit of weight, but I am not opposed to Percy Lewis being a staple on this offensive line this year. Starting at left guard, I have Dylan Wade. I have since moved him from the right side to the left side. I think that's where he is going to be playing most of the time, right next to Percy Lewis. Returning starter, played very well outside of some of the holding calls that Auburn just suffered from last year. And then moving in from the center, I think Auburn's best player on the offensive line by far, even though he's probably he's the youngest player on this team by far. Connor Liu, who I think could be Auburn's next All-American or / Remington Award winner. Just for how good he has been thus far as a young player. Came in as a true freshman and just was the best player on the offensive line by far last season. Right guard, if he can stay healthy, Jeremiah Wright is going to have a great year for the Tigers. I think that he's just been a monster whenever he's healthy. Whenever he can finally get on the field, he's just been a staple of this offensive line. And I know I say staple a lot, but he's just big. He's powerful. He just does things that Auburn fans would love to see him do in practice or doing games that he's done in practice. So yeah, I think he's going to be starting at right guard. Right tackle is Avion Miller. Too tall. It's who I have starting at Auburn's right tackle position. Came in from a JUCO. Came in very raw athlete overall. His size and weight together just scream perfect combination. It's the technical side of it that he kind of messed up with a lot last year. I think Avion Miller probably had some of the most penalties called on him that some of the other offensive linemen got called on. But I do think that with Jake Thornton really hammering in different blocking schemes and everything, I think Xavier Miller is really going to step up in year 2 under this new scheme. Excuse me. I got Teresa, War Eagle. Teresa. P-Pass. Can Miller vastly improve from last year? I'll go ahead and throw that out there. I think he can. I think Xavier, just from a raw talent aspect alone, I think he can vastly improve. I think you need that level of play from him just so he doesn't lose his position. I mean, right behind him is Seth Wilford, who's another JUCO guy who I have listed at it. There we go. James, what's up, James? And then, I think Xavion's going to really step up. I think that what he can do, just from a size standpoint alone, it's just getting the offsides penalties and holding calls off of his back. I think that's something he struggled with so much last year. And then I'll kind of go through, and then so that's my starting offensive line. Backing up, Tyler Johnson coming in as I believe a redshirt freshman, starting behind Percy Lewis. Left guard, I have Jaden Muskrat coming back, and Connor Liu's back is going to be Tate Johnson, who originally was a center. And then behind Jeremiah Wright is E.J. Harris, another recruit coming in. And then, so going back to my skill positions, I'm going to start with the quarterback. I feel like this is not really a conversation to really have. It's Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne is the starter for Auburn without a doubt, as I always get that text message during every single time I try to do a live stream. Let's turn that do not disturb on. And then Peyton Thorne, for sure, starter. No one in the world is going to start over Peyton Thorne this year. Transfer portal window's closed. Auburn's not looking for a quarterback. It's Peyton Thorne unless he proves otherwise. And believe me, it's Peyton Thorne's job to lose Behind him, I mean, it's going to be Holden Garner, it's going to be Hank Brown and Walker White in that order. Especially with Walker White potentially getting a red shirt by far, without a doubt, just because he's a true freshman coming in, definitely going to have a red shirt. And then Holden Garner and Hank Brown. I think this is kind of where my questions start. Could Hank Brown be the backup? Could Holden Garner be the backup right behind Peyton Thorne? I think Hank Brown had a better A-Day, and I think may have had I think they both had a same kind of spring. But definitely neither one of them are good enough to start over Peyton Thorne right now. Running back, another no-brainer. This is Jarquez Hunter, and then this is just going to be another great room for the running backs again. Behind Jarquez, of course, Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, and Brian Battie. And Auburn's still trying to recruit the running back position. A lot of names have come and gone that Auburn's been targeting for the running backs. But Jarquez Hunter, this is his make or break year for the NFL. He's coming back. He needs to hit that. He wants to hit that 1,000 yards that he hasn't yet to have hit yet on the season or in his career. So I think that Jarquez Hunter, by far the best running back on the team, and really needs to hit that 1,000 yards if he wants to go to the NFL. But I think just off of athleticism alone, Jarquez is going to get the league. And then next year, Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, Brian Battie, or Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston making a little 1-2 punch last year. It's Brian Battie's last job or last year. I don't think Brian Battie's really going to see the field that much. I think Jeremiah Cobb does what Brian Battie was recruited for and more. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that kind of meshes together. But I do think going forward, I did not make a special teams thing, but I will go through it. I think Brian T will be the starting kick returner yet again, especially if he can just, call a fair catch every now and again. Wide receivers. I think this is again a no-brainer. Cam Coleman is the starting wide receiver for the Auburn Tigers. He is wide receiver 1. No questions about that whatsoever. If anyone is doubting Cam Coleman's ability to be the starting wide receiver, I beg you to go watch A-Day because he definitely showed out. He does not look like a true freshman whatsoever. Wide receiver 2 is a new guy that just came in during this last transfer portal cycle. That is KeAndre Lambert-Smith. I've even said this a few times. I think Auburn earns another win to the win column strictly off of KeAndre Lambert-Smith's transferring in alone. Because this what he did at Penn State and then what he can add to Peyton Thorne's offense, I think it works out so well. And again, I know people are going to be complaining that Peyton Thorne doesn't have any excuses anymore for not performing well. But I mean, if any quarterback has that wide receiver room, they're going to have no room to complain. Chris, what's up, man? And then slot receiver, I think Robert Lewis is where I have the slot going right now. He came in as a wide receiver 2, right next to Cam Coleman. And he showed out in 8A yet again. I think he's going to move to the slot. He is a faster guy, and he's a little bit on the smaller side, so he is going to move in. And then backing those 3, I think the guy right behind Cam Coleman is his Freeze 4 buddy and Perry Thompson. I think that's exactly who you're going to have right behind Cam Coleman, as well as Sam Jackson V on that outside where Cam Coleman is. Backing up KeAndre Lambert-Smith, I have Camden Brown and Malcolm Simmons. I think Malcolm Simmons comes in a little late. He is more of the raw athlete out of the Freeze 4, so I think he's going to need a little bit more time to get in. But just what he brings athletically alone is just out of this world. So I think he's going to be right behind Camden Brown in that aspect. And then behind Robert Lewis in the slot, I have Bryce Kane and Caleb Burton third. Caleb Burton, really surprised that he did not end up transferring. So I am excited to see what he can do as not really a veteran, but a kind of more of a veteran guy compared to some of the other guys on this list. But Bryce Kane, I think, really showed out during the spring. Just his speed alone, I think he's gonna be a huge threat. This Freeze 4 is gonna be so fun to watch develop over time, and just what they can offer to the quarterbacks to come and Walker White and whoever's after Walker White is just so fun. Hopefully, those sprinklers back behind me don't get too loud. And then last position I'm going to talk about for the offense, the tight end position, which again is Rivaldo Fairweather. If you think it's not Rivaldo Fairweather, I don't know what to tell you. Luke Deal on his 18th year of eligibility will be backing up Rivaldo Fairweather, as well as Brendan Frazier and Rico Walker. I like this tight end room. It's got the perfect mix of athletic tight ends and Rivaldo and Rico, as well as the veteran guys who are better blockers like Brendan Frazier and Luke Deal. I think just meshes so well together, especially in a run and what could be more of a run-based attack, as well as dipping more into the running back, into the passing game a little bit more. But this offense is very exciting, especially just getting ready to see what they can do in action. Alabama A&M, not the most exciting opponent, but after the Mexico State game last year, I'm not doubting anyone ever again. But it's going to be so fun to watch this team. And what I saw from A-Day is the lack of run blocking, that kind of hurt the team a lot in A-Day. I think that's going to be fixed. I think the fall camp's really going to be hammering in, getting the run game open, because if Peyton Thorne doesn't come in and just throws the ball all over the place, no one else really will be able to. I'm sorry. I'm going to be Peyton Thorne's biggest fan throughout this year, just because I think that he is going to be that guy, and I think it's so important for the Auburn fan base in general just to be behind Peyton Thorne this year. So with that's my offensive depth chart, and I will be posting these graphics after the show, just kind of probably tomorrow. Just kind of go through and let everyone else see if they did not catch the live stream. And then moving on to my defensive side of the ball, I have, starting off with the defensive line, starting at the defensive end. There we go. I have Keldrick Falk, true freshman last year, showed out throughout the injuries that occurred at that position, and just looked the part. He looked like everything Auburn recruited him for and more. I think that he's going to be so much more improved. He's definitely going to be a guy I don't expect to see all 4 years at Auburn, but I'd if he did. And if he can just recruit his brother in here as well, that'd be even better, and get a year of the Fox speed rushing other teams. Moving interior, Jason Jones, I still have as the nose tackle. And I will say, behind Keldrick Falk, I have the true freshman Amaris Williams, who I think is going to be too hard. He's too talented to redshirt. Jason Jones, I have as the nose tackle. Behind him is Trill Carter and Isaiah Rakes, who are some of the transfers that have came in from this spring cycle. But Jason Jones, just the veteran presence alone keeps him a starter for me. I know some people have actually put Trill Carter above Jason Jones in the depth chart, but I'm going to keep Jason Jones there. I think just his size and veteran leadership alone is enough for me to keep him in that starting rotation. But transfer-wise, moving into the defensive tackle position, I have Philip Bleedy. He was very good for the Hoosiers last year. I think he's going to mesh in so well with this defensive line, and he just offers so much athletic talent at the defensive tackle position. I think he could be on the same level by the time he leaves Auburn as what we saw of Marcus Harris. And I know that might be like heinous to say, but I do think that he does possess that talent to be a Marcus Harris level a defensive lineman where for this upcoming year. And behind him, I have Gage Keys, another transfer coming in, and then I have Quyantrell Jamison Travis, one of those recruits from the previous season. Going into the edge rusher position, I have Jalen McLeod. Dealt with some injuries last year, but whenever he came in, he did not skip a beat from his injuries. He has just been so good. The energy he brings all the time. I mean, he is right up there with Eugene Asante in terms of energy. So I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. Hopefully he stays healthy. But if he does get hurt, Auburn did recruit a lot of great players behind him in Kieron Crawford from Arkansas State, and then recruited Jamonta Waller from high school. And those players just mesh so well together. It's going to be so cool to see Auburn kind of move to their second string D-line and not really skip a beat. That's kind of where I'm at in the terms of the defensive line. I went into last season kind of scared of the defensive line, and then they surprised me. They turned into a awesome unit overall, and I think it's going to go even further beyond that going into next season. Moving back to the linebacker room, I no surprise here. It's Eugene Asante and Austin Keys as your linebackers going the next year. Eugene Asante could have left for the draft. Could have absolutely left for the draft. Did not. Came back despite a little bit of a fear that he might leave. He is the energy. He is the leader of this defense. He is the guy that when Auburn needs something to happen defensively, he is the guy you turn to. No shocker there. He is the guy at linebacker, and it was so fun just seeing him just come up out of the blue and just be that guy, be that dude, be him, and just put in all the work on the defense in the back level. Going into Austin Keys, another great leader, dealt with some injuries last year, came through, fought through, and gave Auburn another solid linebacker right next to next to Eugene Asante. So I cannot wait to see how these two kind of mesh together. Behind them, I only got 2 guys listed. I got DeMarcus Riddick, who I think is going to mesh in kind of well with Eugene Asante. He's faster than Eugene. I would give him the more athletic edge. But overall, I think he does need that time. He might get redshirted, would not be surprised. And some other guys will kind of file in. behind him. And then, of course, DJ Barber, I think, is also in that list as well. Behind Austin Keys, I have Dorian Mousey, the linebacker from Duke, who came in during the first cycle on the portal. I think that he is also a guy that he makes tackles. He does not miss a lot of tackles. That's what he was for Duke and Mike Elko last year. He was a guy that when he came in, he was not going to miss a tackle. He didn't get juked out. He was there. Open space is where he thrives a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a lot of minutes going into this year. He gets a lot of plays to get in and really show out why Auburn did in fact recruit him. Moving to the secondary, going to start with the safeties first, kind of go back and then kind of move my way forward. Starting at the strong safety, Caleb Wooden. I argued with myself whether to put him in the star position or not. I've kind of moved back on my Laquan Robinson starting thing, but I do think that he's going to get a lot of minutes regardless. I think he's going to be kind of like a Donovan Kaufman level player that we saw last year. Didn't really get in as a starter, but when he came in, he showed out. But yeah, I think that behind Caleb Wooden's going to be Sylvester Smith, another big safety recruit from the previous recruiting cycle. These two guys are just so good at tackling in open space. They're not the fastest safeties in the world, but they will get you. They will catch up. They will make those tackles. They will save plays. We saw Caleb Wooden last year do that a lot, even as a backup. At the free safety position, I have another transfer Auburn picked up, Jaron Thompson from Texas. He was 8A defensive MVP. He was just that good. He made plays all over the place. He was all over the place. There's a reason why the offense couldn't get a lot of touchdowns in this game, was because of Jaron Thompson's leadership a lot on the passing downs. So yeah, I have him starting at the free safety. Behind him, I actually have Laquan Robinson. I think he's kind of meshed and kind of changed my perception of him into more of a pass coverage guy as well as an open space. I definitely have Laquan Robinson pegged for a strong safety, but from what I saw from him, I think he could play the free safety role very, very well. Corners, I have Keontae Scott as CB1. No surprise there. He is the guy Auburn will be looking forward to watching play, especially in a new position. He was the star last year, will be going into quarterback 1. So I can't wait to see how he does there. I was a little iffy on it at first, but I think he has meshed very well into that position. CB2, no surprise here. Kyan Lee showed out as a true freshman, came in right away, especially with Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James, like the two big guys, and made a difference. He made an impact on the field whenever he got in, especially as a true freshman. Can't wait to see how he meshes. I think this 2023 class is going to end up being a very good class in terms of just how they've performed thus far, especially the true freshmen. And at the star position, I have Champ Anthony kind of playing the nickel role. Champ Anthony is a guy I've been very high on ever since Auburn got him. He is just a great playmaker. He finds the ball. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but when he did, you saw him on the field. He also has like the best first name ever, Champ Anthony. His nickname is also the Pirate. So a lot of cool things there for Champ Anthony. So I can't wait to see how this defense kind of meshes. If you have any questions or have any of your own thoughts on who I'm missing, I will say after those corners get out, I have J.C. Hart, Antonio Kite, and Terrence Love coming in for the star position in the secondary. Overall, I'm so excited to watch how this team plays together. And of course, special teams wise, starting kicker, Alex McPherson, no shocker there. Little brother of one Evan McPherson, two names that I always get mixed up whenever I'm trying to type their names. Backing up Alex McPherson is Tones Magoo, who is just the MVP overall of the 8A game. Starting at punter, Oscar Chapman coming back. He's the starting punter. Long snapper, Reed Hughes. Kick returner, Brian Battie. Hopefully improves a lot in his kick returning game. And then punt returner, Keontae Scott, the last guy to get a special teams touchdown for Auburn since 2019, I want to say. So definitely going to be the starting punt returner for Auburn this upcoming season. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, leave them in below, and I will go ahead and keep going. And I believe me, I will stop and talk if you want me to, because I just love hearing myself speak. But Auburn basketball news. Shout out to Isaac Okoro, moving on to the next round of the NBA playoffs after taking down the Chuma Okeke Orlando Magic. I almost said lead. Chuma Okeke is not a leading player on the Magic right now. But huge shout out to Isaac Okoro for moving on. Women's basketball news. Just kind of go through this. In her first preseason action as part of the Washington Mystics, she got in for 6 minutes, scored a point a minute, and got 6 points, as well as 2 rebounds and shot 1 for 3 from the 3-point line. She tried to get those points, and I think Oscar Grace is going to be a great player in the WNBA, and definitely going to be someone that we're going to be hearing about a lot as her career progresses. Let's say P-Pass. Does Bryce Kane return punts this year? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I think he does possess that ability and speed alone to get there. It would be, I'd probably be more pro Bryce Kane doing it, just because I don't want Keontae Scott to get hurt, and I think that we'll probably see that during the season. You don't want to have your starting cornerback play 3 downs and then have to, or 3 or more downs, and then have to go back to the return punt. So Bryce Kane could very well do that. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's going to be kind of how we did it with Coy Moore last season. I think that you're going to see that kind of movement in the depth chart. And then as we go through, Auburn Softball got their second series win in a row over the Alabama Crimson Tide. Did that with a game 1 win, 4-3, where Auburn got up early and then immediately let Alabama get back into it. Needed a run to get that 4th run. And this is the game where Maddie Pinta, I think, threw like 100 and something pitches. If I'm not mistaken, it was a lot of pitches that she had to throw, and I do not envy how her arm felt after the game. 107 is the number. I'm getting that right now. Had 9 strikeouts, and congratulations to Maddie Pinta as well, hitting 900 strikeouts in her career. It is just so fun to watch Maddie Pinta play, and we're all gonna miss her so much. People ask, repeat of the Iron Bowl injury. Yeah, yes, also. Big proponent of not letting Keontae Scott get any more hurt than he did in that game. But yeah, huge shout out to Auburn Softball getting that second win. Friday was not a fun game to watch, but last night's game was a lot of fun to watch as well. Watching Auburn get a lot of runs early, and then defensive matchup, especially from Annabelle Weidra as a crane/heron just goes crazy over there behind me. But yeah, huge shout out to Auburn Softball, huge shout out to Annabelle Weidra, and it was a lot of fun watching that happen on Maddie Pinta Day. And with that, Auburn did clinch the 10th seed in the SEC tournament upcoming that's going to be taking place at beautiful J.B. Moore Field in Auburn, Alabama. So, and they'll be playing Georgia at 4:00. So, huge shout out to Auburn Softball. Be there or be square. Go support Auburn Softball as they try to win the SEC tournament and try to clinch a better regional spot. Auburn will be in a regional. They won't be hosting, but they'll be in a regional. Trying to get a better one. Let's see. James Barnett, Dylan, we could have won 9 games last year, but could it finish where it started with a lot better roster. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. I think 10 games is very possible. Just my opinion. I completely agree. I don't want to bug too hard. I don't have my bugging glasses with me. I don't want to bug too hard. But 8 wins is kind of where I'm sitting at. I know I kind of went over the schedule. A few streams ago. And I kind of came to the assumption of 7 wins. That's kind of where I was sitting at. But with KeAndre Lambert-Smith as another weapon, I think you don't rely on Cam Coleman as much and some of the other guys. You have another veteran guy to rely on alongside Robert Lewis. I think your go-to losses off the bat, I have Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, and I think that you win 1 and lose 1 with Oklahoma and Texas A&M. I kind of think that's where I'm standing at, just because of how those teams have kind of moving on to the next year. And it'll be Oklahoma's first game in the SEC in Jordan-Hare Stadium, or first away game. I can't remember. I haven't seen their schedule, so I don't know if it's their first SEC game or their first away SEC game. But yeah, I think 10 wins is very plausible. I think 9 is very plausible, but I don't want to get too crazy. I think that you got to look at Missouri. Missouri is going to be the kicker because Missouri is just so good. Missouri is going to be so good going forward. I'm so excited to watch what Drinkwitz takes. I love football too much to root against Missouri. That's just how good Eli Drinkwitz has been. I thought he was going to be a guy who gets fired, but looking at the schedule as a whole, October is going to be the month that makes or breaks the season. It depends on how Auburn plays against Georgia, whether they lose close or get the upset. And of course, and P-Pass over there booging again, winning 10. I'm standing on that hill. If you want to, man, I'm not opposed to you getting crazy. It's fine with me. But when I look at the schedule, they're automatic wins when I look at it, and that's fun to have. You didn't really have that with some of the past with the past coaching staff games that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll win that game. But Arkansas, I think, is a win. The first Auburn's gonna start the season 4-0, and that's where people are gonna start getting a little crazy because Auburn's gonna be 4-0 going into Oklahoma. It's gonna be a packed Jordan-Hare Stadium, and that game, I'm like, if Auburn wins that game, I'm confident in 9 wins for a little bit. I would need Auburn to beat Missouri. And then if they beat Oklahoma and beat Missouri, because I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. Georgia did not lose a lot of talent outside of Brock Bowers, but Oscar Delp, I believe is his name, is just as athletic, but not as just as good, but just as athletic as Brock Bowers was. But Arkansas is winnable, is extremely winnable. Oklahoma is winnable in the environment that it's in. If it was away, I wouldn't be on that side at all. But if it's in Georgia Stadium, really helps that fact. And then I'm trying to remember the schedule off the top of my head. Vanderbilt's a win. New Mexico's a win, hopefully, or I'm going to hate that state for the rest of my life. Alabama A&M's a win. Cal's a win. I'm forgetting one game, but I can't remember off the top of my head what the third game of the season is. But Auburn has winnable games. This is a much more improved and easier schedule than it was last season. So I can't wait to see where that goes. But PPass, if you want to get crazy and wishful thinking and predict 10 games, I'm not opposed. I would love for you to be right. I would love to be wrong about Auburn only getting 8 games and getting 10 instead. I'd be stuck as I kick the table. I'd be ecstatic if Auburn. I'd be ecstatic right now if Auburn got 7 just because it's an improvement. But if they get 10 wins, I presume your 10 wins are the 2 losses are to Alabama and Georgia. I could be wrong. I don't know where your losses stand, PPass. If you want to let that in the chat, because I just want to see where your exact mind is at. I think Oklahoma and A&M is the biggest home games, but can they come into Jordan-Hare and knock us off? It's always a hard place to win. If we split on the road, it's 9 or 10 games easily. I agree. Teresa saying Kentucky is the game I'm forgetting about. There's like a words I'm looking for. There's a non-con that I'm missing. It's New Mexico, Alabama A&M, Cal, and someone else. I can't remember because that was like the last game that got added. I could definitely. I have a computer right in front of me, so I could just go look that up. As I'm just talking. But this season is so important, and it's okay. I know ULM. It's ULM that I'm missing. That's not. It's the game before Alabama. But yeah, this season's so important, and the fact that it's just a bunch of games that look winnable on paper. So PPass, I'm imagining Auburn winning in T-Town. I have us as my 12 at Georgia and lose by blank at Missouri. I like those 2 losses. Missouri, I think, could be a dark horse for the SEC championship. Because that's just where they are to me right now, especially with Luther Bird and then Brady Cook coming back. And Brady Cook looked like a top 5 quarterback in the SEC last year. He could be even higher where he finishes this year. He's just been that good. 10 games is just so hard for me to think of right now. But I don't know what's going on. The sprinklers. There we go. But that's where I'm at right now on the season. 8 games is where I'm kind of settling in at. I don't want to get too bugging with it. But as I was saying before, congrats to Auburn Softball. Go support them. Jane B. Moorfield. That's going to be on the 7th of May. So in just 2 days. So it's going to be on Tuesday. And we'll have a full breakdown of Auburn versus Georgia on the Tuesday show. Because surprisingly, Auburn did not play Georgia this year. Georgia currently 38-15 on the year. Not much better SEC conference wise in that matter. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch that and get ready for that game. Because I have us winning by double digits at Bama. They've lost a lot of talent, and I think DeBoer is a good coach, but he's not Saban. My thing with that, it's still Saban's team to a standard. Because they're not going to let Saban just leave and be gone from the program. He still has an office. He's still going to be around as well as on game day. But the players that left weren't necessarily like outside of Isaiah Bond. I think that I could be extremely wrong because I don't follow their recruiting that well. Outside of Isaiah Bond, they didn't lose like big time contributors to the team last year. this still has Alabama talent. Caitlin DeBoer is very good at doing more with less. We saw that last year at Washington. I'm just iffy on the whole. Give DeBoer a couple of years to get his own team in there, and then we can start judging him and calling him, and people can start calling him Husky Harson or whatever they want to call him. I'm not going to call him that because I think in year one he's going to be a good coach, and Alabama's still going to be a good team because they still have Alabama's talent that we're used to seeing. So we got P-Pass. We had Georgia on the ropes out there. My question is, their roster better than last year? Our roster is way better. Georgia doesn't matter when they have Kirby Smart. Teresa, I think 8 to 9 is a reasonable range. My daughter will be a senior, so I will love to make them see them at the playoffs for sure. Though, I mean, can't go wrong with Auburn going to the playoffs. I would be ecstatic for that to happen as well. 8 to 9, I think, is where I'd be sitting at. I think that's exactly where I am. I think that you could either. I think my 3 losses that I have that I'm like, I don't think Auburn is going to win those games is Alabama, Georgia, Missouri. And it's Oklahoma and Texas A&M that throw me off. Both games at home, so I want to lean Auburn, but I don't know for a fact that Auburn can win both those games. And I think like 2020, the next season, 2025 is going to be the year where I'm like, oh, Auburn's playoff team, Auburn, potential competing for the SEC tournament, SEC championship at some point. That's where I am. But 8 to 9 is exactly where I'd be right now. If I had to put an exact number on it. So as those comments still come rolling in, Auburn baseball, still in a battle for defending a sweep. Currently at the bottom of the 7th, Auburn's up 6-5, up at the plate as we speak. But they've already lost to Missouri yesterday and the day prior on Friday. Lost 11-7 on Friday and lost 5-4 on Saturday. I find it funny. I had these both backwards when I predicted these when I picked these series. I didn't think Auburn was going to win the series. I thought they was going to kind of fall off a little bit. But I did say I would love it if they did win it on Matty Pitt today. And they did. And then Auburn baseball, I thought what they're going to be due for one SEC series win. That did not happen. Still just anything that can go wrong for Auburn baseball right now has gone wrong. When they get runs, when they get a lot of runs, they're giving up a lot more. And whenever they're playing it close, they just can't finish it whenever the game comes down to it. That's just been the tale of Auburn baseball this year. It's just crazy. It's Everett Tieford should not be on Auburn staff going in the next season. Let's see. Yes, A&M would be a great one. She was so close. Oh, yeah, talking about the rushing the field. I wish I've only rushed a quarter field once. That was for Auburn women's basketball when they took down number 4 Tennessee. And then my last bit of news, and then I'll just kind of stay around for y'all to talk about any more Auburn football questions. Golf will be taking on, and we'll be in the Baton Rouge Regional on May 13th to the 15th, and they'll be taking on. Let me get these names right. They'll be taking on Virginia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Duke, Ohio State, LSU, Louisville, Houston, South Carolina, Lipscomb, Loyola, Maryland, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. So I think I said Pine Bluff. So huge shout out to Auburn Golf. I think they're going to do extremely well. They're my current favorite to win the national championship, as well as I believe everyone else's. And then I want to give you a full breakdown, but I gotta be honest, golf is not my strong suit. I do not know golf as well as probably I should, but I do think Auburn softball or Auburn golf is good enough to win the national championship this year. Let's see. P-Pass. I think Durkin makes a difference against Alabama. Defense was good last year. It'll be elite this year. I wanted to say verge. I think a verge of great. I think they'll be very good. I just kind of right now, this is where I am because I need to see the secondary play together. I need to see Keontae Scott, Kyan Lee, Champ Anthony, Terrence Love, Sylvester Smith, all those guys. I need to see them playing together. Because looking at it, we've only seen them in the A-Day sense, and they played very good in A-Day, but Auburn's offense also didn't look all that great outside of a couple of plays from Cam Coleman and a few like throws here and there, and then of course Townsend too. You got to see them play together, and that comes. You just got to wait until August 31st. But I don't know. Elite. And I will say I'm very pro DJ Durkin as a defensive coach. I know people don't really like him as a person, and I completely understand. He's not a great person, but he's a good coach. And looking at the numbers wise, I think Durkin does make a difference, as well as Charles Kelly as well, helping in the secondary with Crime Dog. I think Auburn's staff alone is a superstar worthy. Hugh Freeze has done a great job of in back-to-back years retaining making a great staff in 2023, retaining a lot of the key members to that staff in 2024, and then also adding to it throughout the losses of the staff. They got James Barnett. That's my thought. Also, our offense will be better. Our quarterback doesn't have to be elite. I mean, with the wide receiver room, if I think I say this all the time, if Peyton Thorne hit 2,500 yards passing, I think Auburn wins that 8-game range. I think that's where the Auburn gets to, just because that means he's spreading the ball out to his primary targets, his awesome additions to the portal, that have just been that good, and even better than what we thought they could be already. It's all Peyton Thorne has to do is hit 2,500 yards. I think he can surpass that. 3,000 is not out of the range of possibility. He's done it before, and also we've seen Auburn quarterbacks do it before. Jarrett Stidham, I believe, is the last Auburn quarterback to do that, and it'd be fun to watch a little return to Auburn having a vertical passing game. And let's see, Teresa. I don't know if A&M is field rushing worthy. Texas A&M is not field rushing worthy. Believe me. If it was, I don't think Auburn has a field rushing like quality game on the schedule. If Oklahoma was like a top 5 team, maybe, but I don't think they would classify as that. Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky, and Alabama. Alabama, Missouri, and Georgia, maybe, because I think that'll be highly ranked at that point. But none of those games are at home. Auburn doesn't have a game on the schedule right now that's worthy of a field rush. Elite means top 10 national defense. I think Auburn will be a top 3 to 5 defense in the SEC right now, which even then that's like top 15, top 20 in the country. So I think very good. Whatever's like I don't know what the good and great. There's like a median between that. That's like where I have Auburn at until I of course see them play in a game. Maybe because that's our last SEC home game. I still don't think A&M is worthy of a field rushing unless Mike Elko has them as like a top 3 team or something. I don't think A&M will ever be a field rushing team for Auburn. And so talking about that. But yeah, I'll kind of hang around, kind of riff off a little bit. Oh, there we go. James Dylan, with 2,800 yards passing and an elite run game, what would the rushing yards look like? I think that you would have, if the offense is like that good and that potent, I think you have Jarquez Hunter hitting 1,000, not like much more, because there's plenty of running backs to go around. I think you have Jarquez Hunter hit 1,000 to 1,100 to 1,000 to 1,200. It's kind of where I'd be at on that spectrum. And then you have Damari Alston come in, probably get 400 to 500, and they have Jeremiah Cobb probably get 300 to 400, maybe even 500 to kind of go alongside Damari and kind of split those carries. But I don't think you'd have. I think the running backs by committee is kind of where Auburn is sitting at right now. So I don't think you'd ever have like a 1,500 plus yard rusher right now, especially with this running back room. I think that I think you have at least 1,000 yard rusher in that case, especially if the run game opens up a lot. Because there's been plenty of teams that have been 8 wins that have had 1,000 yard rusher plus like a 3,000 yard passer. But I definitely think Jarquez Hunter hits 1,000 this year. He's due. He's due for 1,000 yards in a season. So it'd be a lot of fun to watch that finally happen for him. But I think you'd have like 1,200 yards max for Jarquez, and then you get like 500, and then probably have like, you probably won't even get 300 yards out of Peyton Thorne this year. You might have like 200, maybe. I think this is going to be the year Peyton Thorne doesn't run the ball that much. I think you're going to be back to shotgun pocket passer level, can run if he needs to. Peyton Thorne, which I think works this works out very well for him. I think that's exactly how he played his game at Michigan State. So I think that's where he kind of fits in better, just kind of staying in the pocket, looking around, finding his reads, and then making great throws when he needs to. PPAS, new rule: do not think about rushing the field until after the game. I completely agree with that whatsoever. Yes, they were too ready to rush the field at the Iron Bowl. I mean, whenever you're that close to winning the game, I mean, you kind of Kind of started thinking about that. The last time we had over 2,500 yards passing and over 2,000 yards rushing, we were at 10 games or more. I mean, you got me. I mean, it comes down to the rest of the SEC. I mean, Auburn can have a great offensive game. I mean, there have been plenty of high-scoring losses that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, looking directly at the Iron Bowl, where it was like 55-44, and 99 points were scored. Auburn lost by 11. That Auburn can still lose those games. What year was that? Would that have been 2010? Because Nick Marshall did not hit that. I could be very wrong on what year that could have been. 2004. But I think that just having a potent offense, even if you have a 2,500 yard Peyton Thorne, if you have a 2,000 yard rushing team, if you have a top 15 defense in the country, that is 10 plus wins right there, especially in the SEC. Because if you all you gotta do is get through Georgia, and I think that those stats alone put you on the same pedestal as Missouri, and then you just kind of have to see where Alabama falls. You could very well go to the Iron Bowl 11-1, 10-1, 10-1 is the correct math there. And then you just don't know where Alabama falls. I don't know Alabama's schedule. It could be range from anywhere from easy to hard, because that's kind of just where they are. As I'm trying to pull it up, and they give me the softball thing. So, okay, looking at Alabama's schedule, I mean, Western Kentucky, USF, at Wisconsin. Ask me how I feel about the Iron Bowl after that game, because that's kind of where I'll be. Georgia, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma, Auburn. I mean, Alabama alone has a very tough slate of games. Was that 2013? Did Auburn have 2,500 yards passing in 2013? I don't think that. I might be wrong, but I don't remember Nick Marshall going that crazy passing wise. Again, I could be extremely wrong, but I don't believe I've ever. I think he did. 2014 he threw for 2,500 yards, but 2013 he threw for 1,976. And I would say there's no way that he threw for 2,500 yards in 2013. 2017, we might. Okay, 2017 I can get behind 2017 because that was the best Jarrett Stidham year, as well as Kerryon Johnson. And I feel like a couple other guys like Henry Petway did good that year. And I want to check my math on that real quick. That very well could be the case. 10-4 that year. Passing 3,100 from Peyton Thorne, Jarrett Stidham, and a lot of math needs to be involved here. Rushing yards, 2,000 yards rushing for Auburn 2017. Good defense, finished 10-4. Just a Kerryon Johnson injury away from winning a SEC championship and not being the national championship game for UCF. Let's see. Dylan, congrats on your sister's accomplishment. That campus stadium is quite nice. South Alabama is a very nice campus. And I was I should have came to a couple of games because I do like South Alabama as a team. But yeah, huge congrats to my little sister for graduating. I can't remember, Dylan. Maybe I got 2013 and 2014 mixed up. I don't want. I was about to say it meanly. Those 2 years I kind of get confused a lot together as well, because 2014's offense was also very good. It just kind of things didn't go their way that year. Everything kind of fell apart in the long run. 2014 should have been a national championship team, but that's kind of everyone kind of caught up to Auburn's like offense, and there's so many heartbreaks from that season, especially just the 2014 and the 2016 seasons just break my heart. The little fall off from the pedestal, come back to grace from 2017, and then no little fall off for 2018. But 2014 was another fun year. I loved that 2014 team so much. They should have been all up. I think that was also the year that Dak Prescott kind of came out of came out of nowhere and was like a Heisman candidate for a little bit before Mississippi State kind of fell apart and kind of went back to being Mississippi State that we all know and love. But yeah, I'll kind of hang around for a little bit to kind of see if anybody else had any questions, comments about Auburn coming up. But yeah, I'm so excited about this season. I think Hugh Freeze made a lot of steps in the right direction. I think that the staff additions he made were great. I think he did not miss a beat in the portal. I kind of like his. I like when a coach doesn't kind of rely on the portal too much. I know that's. I know a lot of coaches that do. They don't really recruit high school very well. I know Deion Sanders is a big component of the transfer portal. There are a few other teams I can think of that don't really recruit high school. I prefer my coach to kind of build up players who are going to be there longer than 1 to 2 years. And I think he's done that. He's done a great job of doing that too. So I can't wait to see how this team plays. I think Peyton Thorne's going to have a much improved year. Jarquez Hunter is going to be due for 1,000 yards. Cam Coleman is a monster. Offensive line has been much improved. Defensive line has been much improved with the additions, or I won't say much improved. Made the correct moves to kind of replacing the guys that you're going to be missing out on, i.e. Justin Rogers and Marcus Harris, who Auburn lost to the draft, and then moving back to the backfield. I think the talent is there, potential is there for the secondary. So I can't wait to see how they kind of mesh together. Keontae Scott's one of my favorite players ever, just because of especially because he got a punt return touchdown, because I love special teams touchdowns. Yeah, I think that secondary is going to be very talented. I can't wait to see how they kind of go. Kiffin is a big portal guy, I will say too. Yeah, that's completely right. Kiffin is a huge portal guy. But I do think Kiffin does a great job in his portal additions, as well as Deion. I think Deion made a lot of great moves in the portal, picking up needs that he needed. I don't know if Colorado will be any good this year, but I think that Deion's in the right direction, as long as he can get off Twitter as much. But I do think that, especially in the linebacker room, retaining those two, Austin Keys and Eugene Asante, and then making additions from the portal and from the high school recruiting, and DJ Barber from high school, Joseph Phillips, who's going to be more of an edge rusher, and of course DeMarcus Riddick, who I'm just so huge on this year. And then Teresa, there you go. If you can build through high school and hold on to them, that's the key. That is exactly what that is how Hugh Freeze is building the program, and that's what I like. That's what I like to see. That's also what fans like to see. That's what made Saban so good. That's what made Kirby so good. That's what makes all these like really good coaches on top of the sport. It's the fact that they aren't just buying, like, getting guys who are only going to be like a 1-year rental, getting guys who are going to be there that you develop into those big time athletes, big time players at your program. The championships are won through high school. Because that's how you build a program. You can have a good 1 to 2. Look at Michigan State a couple years back. They built up through the portal and got to this high pedestal in 2021, I think. And then when those transfer guys left, they fell off. It was just a huge drop off. And now they have a new coach and looking to go different directions from where they were. And that was only a couple years ago. And Auburn can do that. Auburn is a big enough brand where high school recruiting should not be an issue for them whatsoever. And we're seeing that. We're seeing Auburn winning recruiting battles. We're seeing Auburn go into Phoenix City and finally get guys to like consider Auburn. Looking at going to Tuscaloosa, going into Jefferson County, and taking recruits out from Alabama's nose. We saw Perry Thompson. He was committed to Alabama. He was, and after that he wasn't. Ryan Williams was contemplating Auburn for the longest time, even decommitted from Alabama. Just watching guys like that kind of see Auburn as a potential destination, see Auburn as a primary destination. You're not. I think you're going to get to the days where you're not going to see Auburn lose guys to Florida and Florida State anymore in the state of Alabama. You might see it a couple of times, but that's just going to happen. But that's just where I think Auburn is right now, and I'm just so excited to see how the season goes. But if there's no more comments, I'll go ahead and get out of here. I am Dylan Larck. I am able to take on Twitter. Also, my Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, which is just my name at DYLENLARCK. And of course, you can hear the College Loop podcast every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, right here on the College Loop. Also, check me out on all versions of the show as well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, of course, Amazon Music. I just remembered my little ticker is not there. And of course, if you're looking for other ways to support the show, of course, you could like, subscribe. That's the primary way to support the show. But there are other ways to support the show, as well as subscribing is buying the College Loop Feeling Loopy t-shirt. It's the most comfortable shirt you're ever going to wear in your entire life. And of course, you can get that by going to thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. It's right there. It's going to be on the second page because the first page, I got a new addition, the College Loop hat, which is on sale right now. Mine is currently on the way, and I will be wearing it daily whenever I get it. You will not see me not wearing it unless I have one of my other hats I want to wear that day. But believe me, it will be on a lot. So make sure you get that now. It's also $25 as well. And with that, Teresa, don't get too argumentative with that guy. That guy is my brother. So do not get to, that is a big Bama fan you're about to get into an argument in. So be careful with that. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode of the College Loop podcast. And of course, War Eagle. And again, thanks for watching.